Written by Anne Well and Sean McCollum. Focus question: what is the United Nations and how does it address the needs of the world? A Charter for Peace. In June 1941, World War II was coming to an end. Nazi Germany had fallen the month before. Japan continued to fight the Allies, the United States, Russia, Great Britain, China, and others closed in. Some 850 international delegates from about 50 countries met in San Francisco, California, to discuss what would happen once the war ended. Their hope was to create an organization that could handle the big changes to come. On June 25, 1945, the delegates came together for a final meeting. They were asked if agreed to the Charter. The United Nations, which had been in the works for years. Now everyone stood off with applause. World War II, 1939 to 1945, had been the worst conflict in human history. Now countries had come together to create an organization they hoped could keep the peace. That October, the United Nations opened its door. The United Nations today. Today, the United Nations is often in the news. Where there is little food, you may see white UN trucks delivering food stamps to people in need. Whereas riding, you may see UN peacekeepers trying to keep order. Whereas earthquake has leveled in a town, you see UN workers raising tents for shelters. More than 70 years after its creation, the UN still tries to get countries to work together. However, now it includes 193 member countries. Its headquarters are in New York City, but some 44,000 people work for the UN all around the world. Even with the world's growing population and complexity, the UN's main goals are to help people in trouble, promote human rights, and deal with global problems. Its mission do not always succeed, but the UN is willing to handle disaster no one else will touch. The UN includes the 6 main departments or organs. They include the Secretariat, General Assembly, Security Council, Economic and Social Council, Trusteeship Council, and International Court of Justice. The Secretariat. The Secretariat is the executive branch of the United Nations. Its headquarters is a famous New York City landmark. From there, the executive oversees the day-to-day workings of the UN. The Secretary General, who is elected by UN members, guides UN tasks and often acts like its main spokesperson. However, the Secretary General does not have powers like those of the leader of a country. Instead, he or she functions more like a top diplomat, trying to convince others to help out during a crisis. There have been 8 Secretary Generals in the history of the UN, all chosen from different countries. The General Assembly (GA) is the main decision-making body of the UN. It is made up of 193 member countries. The GA is where member countries discuss and sometimes vote on important questions. The UN has 6 official languages: English, French, Spanish, Russian, Arabic, and Chinese. Members often use an interpreter. In some cases, the members of the GA vote against a recommendation called resolution. For example, in 2010, the General Assembly agreed to send aid to the Caribbean country of Haiti after a huge earthquake. However, if a resolution is not specifically about UN issue, the UN can force a country to obey it. The General Assembly also includes smaller committees that advise on certain subjects. One deals with issues related to international security. It develops programs to try to reduce violence worldwide. The Security Council's main purpose is the work to maintain international peace and safety. 5 seats on the Council are always held by the 5 main allies from World War II: China, France, the Russian Federation, and the United Kingdom, and the United States. Each of them had the power to reject any resolution, even if the other countries side against them. The Security Councils must be ready to meet on short notice in the event of an international crisis. In some cases, the Security Council sent armed peacekeeping forces from different countries to police a truce. However, these soldiers can only fight in self-defense, but must take sides if violence breaks out again. In 1990s, about 2,500 UN peacekeepers were sent to withdraw Africa. The purpose was to stop the bloodshed between the two ethnic groups, the Hutu and Tutsi. However, it could not stop the Hutus from killing more than 800,000 Tutsis. It is considered perhaps the worst failure ever by the UN Security Council. The Economic and Social Council. The ECOSOC is known and deals with economic and social issues that affect the world. One of its missions is to support vulnerable groups. For example, an ECOSOC project works to improve women's rights around the world. ECOSOC also works to protect local cultures in danger of dying out, such as Aboriginal groups in Australia. ECOSOC also attempts to balance economic growth with the care of environment. Economic growth leads to new jobs and technologies. However, it can also use up to harm important natural resources like forests and lakes. The healing of Earth's ozone layer is a good example of a UN success. The ozone layer is Earth's atmosphere acts like a filter to protect all life from harmful radiation. In the 1980s, scientists discovered holes growing in the layer that put much risk for skin cancer. The UN called the nations cut down the release of certain chemicals that were creating the holes. Since then, the holes have been shrinking. This showed that nations could work together to solve a global environmental problem. The International Court of Justice. The UN's International Court of Justice is located in Peace Palace, The Hague, Netherlands. 15 judges, no two from the same country, sit on the court. Each of the 5 permanent members of the Security Council has always judged on the court. The ICJ offers opinion and ruling about legal questions brought to it by UN member states. It makes decisions about border disputes, the right to national resources such as fishing grounds, and fighting between countries. The World Health Organization. The UN's World Health Organization promotes better health practice around the world. It offers education about cleanliness, healthy eating, and other factors that can help prevent disease. In 1967, WHO led a global effort to put an end to smallpox, a deadly disease. UN workers taught the public where the disease was common and how to prevent its spread. It started vaccination programs worldwide. In 1980, WHO declared that the smallpox would extinct. WHO also collects the data to let the UN members who were know where health emergencies exist. For example, the organization made plans to slow the effects of the viruses that caused COVID-19, the deadly virus spread by respiratory droplets caused a worldwide pandemic. UNESCO UNESCO is the United Nations educational, scientific, and cultural organization. Its goal is to promote cooperation between countries in areas. Protecting World Heritage Sites around the globe is one of UNESCO's highest-profile tasks. These are places of great natural beauty or cultural importance that protect the UN's help. The Sphinx and Pyramids of Giza are among the world's best-known monuments. In 1995, Egypt had plans to build a new highway close to the pyramid. UNESCO convinced the government to move highway further away. The UN High Commissioner for Refugees. Therefore, about 65 million refugees in the world today. These people are forced from their homes due to war, violence, or natural disaster. In the mid-2010s, close to 5 million Syrians fled, and they war-torn country. Many now live in the UN-run camps. The UN High Commissioner for Refugees reports that there are more refugees in the world now than any time since World War II, the event of the refugee crisis. The UNHCR provides food, clean water, shelter, and health care. Its ultimate goal is to make refugees return home safely, where that is impossible. It's 6 countries willing to take them in. Complexity and controversy of the UN. The United Nations has programs that touch almost every corner of the globe. However, the UN remains a controversial organization. Some say operation costs too much and waste money. Others point to the Security Council failure to prevent war and genocide, the mass murders of civilians. Another complaint is that the UN's capture nations hold too much power, overriding the best interests of some countries in favor of others. At the same time, the UN has done a lot of good in its more than 70 years. It provides food to more than over 90 million people worldwide who might otherwise starve. It vaccines more than half of the world's children, having stopped outbreaks of disease around the world. It seeks human rights for all people. It allows leaders to talk through the different races rather than fight about them. The news people hear about is usually bad news. However, there have been a lot of good news to share since the UN was founded. For the first time ever, less than 10% of the world is living in extreme poverty. According to the World Bank, a human security report study shows that deaths from war have fallen steeply since World War II. WHO reported that the people's average lifespan has increased, that fewer children die before age 5. The factor contribute to the good changes, but the UN has been one of them. The world faces many challenges in the years ahead. Now, how the United Nations will be arise to meet these challenges remain a big question.
Good job.
click on the icon.
We can try again. Let's go.